I am Lucy Edwards. I am the first ever Blind Radio 1 presenter, disability activist and TikToker, here today to chat with Oscar Kelly. Now, we are in conversation today because British Triathlon are running a talent ID campaign. And it's just basically raising awareness for the sport. And that's why we're really interested to talk to up-and-coming, fabulous paratriathlete Oscar. So Oscar, tell us a bit about yourself.
I am Oscar Kelly. I am a British paratriathlete on the Talent Pathway programme. I'm also reigning British champion, which is a big thing nationally. But and then obviously we're here today speaking, as part of the campaign for Talent ID to raise awareness for paratriathlon.
Love it. And so you've been doing paratriathlon for 4 years now, Oscar, and you've been training up until that point. Talk to me about your career so far.
To be honest, not much has happened in my career so far. I've had so we've got to go through classification, which is basically where they put us into a class for what we compete against, and I didn't classify as any of the vision impaired classes up to that point. I wasn't blind enough. So until early this year, I didn't have my international classification, and obviously I had British classification 2020, but because of Corona, we didn't get to race, and I didn't get any chance to use that. But so this year's pretty much been a massive year for me. I've got to do a lot, and it's been great, honestly.
Amazing. And you say you've only been doing paratriathlon for 4 years. What was your sporting life like before that?
I didn't really have like quote unquote sporting life. I was active, so I'd always cycled. It's like something that I always just took joy in. And then I used to whitewater kayak, which is just another thing that I very much enjoyed, but I didn't do any competitive sport. I didn't think that was sort of me, and I found out it was.
Yeah, fair enough. And how did you get into paratriathlon?
This is quite a long story. So
no, go for it. I'm ready.
So I did an agreement with my parents that I was allowed to cycle to school when the clocks had turned, so longer days. And I sort of towards the end of the year, so sort of October 2016, sort of took that a bit too far and overtook the headmaster on his own bike, going quite a lot quicker.
I love it.
Made him quite angry and basically got banned from cycling school from both my parents and school. And then decided I want to do cycling outside of, just do it casual, whatever. Like, thought I needed to do it like at least once a week, as part of a club or something. And I actually went to a British cycling day, paracycling day.
Yeah.
And I met my current flatmate, Charlie Stanstock, there, and he actually talked about his mum was chatting to my dad about paratriathlon, and like we didn't really know, we knew about triathlon, but we didn't know they did it for kids, let alone paratriathletes. And sort of my dad sort of spoke to me afterwards and was like, is this something you'd be interested in doing? I'm like, yeah, sure, but I can't swim. Like I could sort of swim, but you swim 20 meters and you're like, that's me done. But I did a couple of duathlons, which is cycling and running on my own, so on a solo bike and everything, because that's what I'd done. And I actually came second in my first one against like able-bodied athletes, which was a big booster for me. And then I sort of was like, okay, I've got to learn how to swim. And then that first year I actually only did one race, and I did it on my own, and I ended up crashing, but it wasn't too bad. I finished, and it's sort of just gone from there.
Yeah. And obviously you've had a massive journey by the sounds up until this point, and your career's really taken off this year. But how is Loughborough University like supporting your training? Like, do you do a lot there, and would you rate it?
Yeah, it's, if I'm honest, it's one of the massive selling points of Loughborough. I came out of A levels not necessarily with grades that I wanted, and my parents like, you could resit or whatever, and I was like, no, I want to find something at Loughborough to do, because I knew that's really where training at the next level is. That's where we've got quite a few of the other paratriathletes for, GB train here, and some of the best. So Claire Cashmore, Dave Ellis, who are both now reigning world champs, and Claire got a bronze at Tokyo, and so it's just a really good training environment, and it's just super amazing being able to swim at Loughborough Pool, which is, if no one's been there, it's a really nice pool as well, and we get access to the track and everything. It's really, really just amazing.
Oh, fab. And I guess access to the track and access to the pool. For yourself, are you doing that training independently? Because I know you compete with a guide, don't you, as a visually impaired athlete?
Yeah, so I'm one of I'm the least classified, so the least blind category in my race. So we've got 3 categories. The most impaired race off of, they get head start basically, but we all race together. But I am the least impaired, so I do have, although I'm legally blind, I have quite a lot of awareness when it comes to what's going on, and so I do swim alone, and say swim alone, I swim in lanes with other people, and I run on the track with mostly with success on my own, and then I tend to, when we do stuff off the fast running off the track, I tend to run with a coach on a bike around, either behind me or in front of me, just point things out, making sure I don't run into people or lampposts or something. But I do most of my training not tied to someone.
Yeah. And how is that? I mean, do you compete tethered to someone or not?
Yeah, so we compete tethered in the swim, in the run, and then obviously on the bike you're on a tandem. But it's, I don't know, it's always something slightly special when you race. But I love racing. That's my favorite part. I definitely race better than I train, but I don't have the luxury of having my guide around all the time. He goes to uni himself, and it means that although we'd love to do a bit more together, you just sort of do what you can on your own. And I guess it comes quite naturally to us, so it's not a big deal. But I don't think I'd want to train all the time tethered. It's you'd have to really, really like someone to do the hours that we do tethered. And I know other athletes don't all the time. Some have to, but others don't. And you've got to really like someone to spend that much time with them.
Yeah, no, I get you. And I guess following on from that, my next question, I do a lot of videos on TikTok and on social media about kind of misconceptions of blindness and visual impairment. Would you say, is there any misconceptions being a visually impaired athlete that people come to you and you're like, what? I don't understand how you've got that from this. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I think it's a big thing with a lot of disabilities. And a lot of it's people being curious, and I don't mind it, but also a lot of the time I'm like, what are you on about? Like, you're talking crazy here. I think the one thing that I don't necessarily like is when people are sort of patronizing, going, oh, it's so great that you do that. I'm like, what else am I meant to do? I'm gonna get on with my life. What do I do with my life if I sit around or whatever? It's not me, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
Does anyone go for it?
Sorry, you're always gonna find a way to do something that you like, aren't you? So
yeah, no, definitely. Do you think going into it you had any kind of reservations, or was it just like, right, I'm doing this and this is me now?
I actually did, but the opposite to what most people think. I didn't want to go on a tandem ever. So in 2017, just before I did my first race, I actually got onto the talent pathway. I was very lucky. My coach had links, and I managed to go along to one of these and get on. But I was very much, when I had a little chat with the manager in charge, I was like, I'm not ever racing on a tandem. It's not happening. And he was sort of like, you'll change your mind about that. And I was like, no, I'm not. And I have, obviously, but I think that sort of stems from my mum's got the same condition and my granddad had as well. It's a family thing, and you know, my mum's very successful in her own field, and it's always been, you know, you can do whatever anyone else can do at the end of the day. So, you know, don't take no for an answer. And but saying that, it is a smart move not to have a blind person on a bike on their own cycling very quick.
Yeah, we might crash a little bit, hey.
Yeah, every now and then.
I definitely would on my own. Definitely need a tandem. Oh, dearie me. But no, I love that ethos. Like, we can do anything. And I mean, you definitely have been. I mean, you've only been, you know, doing paratriathlon for 4 years, and now you're competing on a world stage, most recently in Abu Dhabi. So that's so impressive at the World Championships. Like, talk to me about what's next and how that felt.
So World Champs felt amazing. It didn't necessarily end up going the way we wanted. We had a bit of a bike crash, and up to that point, we had the perfect race. And afterwards, we finished, which a lot of people didn't expect. We finished well. It's just annoying because we finished quite close behind a lot of people, and you always, at the end of the day, you're always thinking as a competitor, I know I can do better, sort of thing. But in terms of what's up next, is I'm hopefully going to qualify for Team England for Commonwealth Games next year, which would be which would be amazing. Be first major games for me, and you know, it's just hopefully would be an amazing experience to take part in, and I'd want to be coming away with that with what I think I deserve, but I don't want to say that right now.
Yeah, but honestly, it's a massive achievement to even qualify for all of this stuff in the, you know, limited time that you've been doing it. When did you realize that, you know, you were going to go all the way in this sport?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I made my international debut this year, and we came second, and it was a tough race, and it was by no means perfect, but we were just a bit like, that's a bit crazy. Like, it was a World Cup, which is the lowest level international race, but it was still, you know, slightly crazy. I think we had 10 people starting, and we're like, what's happened here? Like, we were thinking we'd maybe come fourth.
Right.
And that was a bit of a crazy moment. But then we went on to do Europeans and World Champs, and the season just sort of spiraled. And, you know, from that first race, sort of thinking, oh yeah, we could do well here, we could do well. But I think World Champs was really like, you know, I'm not Dave. So I train with Dave, and Dave's the best. So I know how much slower than I am than him, but I'm like, I'm not that far off all these other people. You know, I can do this. I'm one of the younger people racing. You know, we can do this, and it's hopefully going to be an amazing journey.
Oh no, I've got such hope for you, and I just think, yeah, you're such a motivator for me and everyone listening to this. I think it's really cool that you know your strengths, and you know yourself, and you're really confident with who you are and what you want to become. Because I think a lot of young people possibly don't have that confidence, and, you know, want to listen to your words today. I think also listening to you, it just sounds like such a massive thing to be an expert at swimming, at cycling, and at running, and all at once. Like, I mean, what is your training regime like, and trying to tackle all three things at once?
I think being an expert that's a bit rich. I've got a lot of learning still to do, but I'm not gonna lie, it's quite a lot of training.
Yeah.
And it's something that I didn't realize for a long time how much training it was.
Yeah.
A lot of it's aerobic work, which is your long, slow stuff, the stuff that most people just hate. You want to go in the gym, smash out massive gym session, like feel like you're hurting while you're doing it, and that's what most people love. And it's being able to slow it down, take it steady, go, okay, I've got to do this, but I've got to do another session later today, or another 2 sessions later today. I've got tomorrow, I've got this week to finish, I've got next week to do. Like, so we train pretty much 7 days a week. Every now and then we'll have a rest day, but it depends on the athlete, obviously. Different athletes on different schedules, because we're not all the same, but it's a case where you're swimming 4 or 5 times a week, and then you're doing at least another session on top of that, if not 2 sessions. So you might do a run or a bike, and then sometimes you'll also do twice a week you'll also do a gym session in there. And it's it's a lot of work, but if you if you love it, then you've still got those sessions where you're like, I don't want to be here. Those early morning swims, it's a hard early morning swims, always like really hard difficulty sessions, and you're like, why do I do this to myself? That, or like when you're doing time trials to see where you're at or how fast you can do a certain distance, and you're just killing yourself, and you're like, why do I do this to myself? Like, do I honestly hate myself? But you finish that set, you finish that time trial, and you feel like you're on top of the world. And it's got to be one of the best feelings, just knowing that you've pushed yourself. Doesn't matter if it's the fastest anyone's ever done it. If you've pushed yourself and really worked hard and trained hard to be where you're at, then it's got to be one of the best feelings out there.
Yeah. And just following on from that, we're talking today to encourage people to sign up for the Paratriathlon program. Talented people who hear your story and feel encouraged. What would you say to them?
Oh, that's a hard one. I guess some of it would be knowing how much training it is. That's something. Well, that's always something I'd wish I'd known when I started. It wouldn't have stopped me, but if you know from the beginning, then you can do that. You can work towards that training from the beginning rather than faff around. But also it'd be not giving up and just giving it a go, because we're not scary. At the end of the day, we're all people, and we're not scary. If you come to one of the races, it's such a good community within within Britain. It's not a massive community, and we've had a lot of newcomers in over the past probably year or two, loads of newcomers, but it's such a good chance just to see other people, I guess. And no matter if you're visually impaired or say you're an amputee, or there's so many categories that are listed. You can do whatever, and it'd be great to see you.
Yeah, definitely. And my final question, last but certainly not least, what is your favourite thing about paratriathlon, and what does it mean to be an expert in your field?
Favourite thing, I think it's got to be the reason why I started, which is, at the end of the day, it's 3 sports. I have quite a sort of obsessive like nature, where I'll really get into one thing and really work hard at that one thing, and then maybe 2 months later I'll be like, oh, I'm sort of sick of this, and it sort of means that I've got 3 sports to sort of rotate that around with. It means that, you know, I'm always improving one thing, you know, and it's something that where you can't really get bored with. You know, if you're bored with swim, bike, run, you know, I don't know what you've been doing, but there's always transition practice you can do, or as a visually impaired athlete, you know, working with your guide, or, you know, it's something that you can always be doing. And it's, you know, it's such a great community as well. It's just amazing sport, and I wouldn't do any other.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for chatting to me today, and I've loved your insight. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.